How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling, and this is another edition of our Stupid Question series where one of us asks the other a question, and they have to answer right off the top of their head with no preparation. And once again, it is my turn to ask Leonard the question, and this is a bit of a two-parter. So we'll start off with the first part, which is, Leonard, what moves do you think should be outlawed?
Probably any move that has shown to really be problematic as far as causing injury.
Right.
I know things that have over, like the Vertebreaker, I know is banned at least in WWE. The type of certain types of pile drivers, like the Tombstone pile driver, is very, very safe to take. But other types of the sit down pile drivers, I know some people are against the Canadian Destroyer. Um, but the quick answer would be, if you can show that a certain move has a track record of causing injury, no matter who does it or who is taking it, then I would say that would be a candidate, because anybody can get injured off of any move at any time.
Right.
And those things happen. But if it's something like, say, I believe where they did have a lot of people getting injured off the Vertebreaker, whether it was a severe injury or a neck stinger or something like that, then it would be like, yeah, don't do that. And I don't think that there's any move that exists that if you didn't do it, like, well, that's the end of wrestling. We can't do Vertebreakers anymore. Well, just, turn off the lights. It's over. We can't do that move. It's over.
Yeah.
Although I can see a lot of AEW guys do. I can't put a guy through a table. Well, I might as well just leave. But
The Vertebreaker, though, was like, a really gruesome looking move to begin with.
Yeah.
And, I want to say Hangman Adam Page has, I think it's called the Dead Eye. And it's not the Vertebreaker exactly, but it is like a pile driver from the back, which, like I said, his, like, when Shane Helms used to put that thing on, like,
yes,
looked like any wrong move could go bad. When Hangman Page does it, it's not is like quite the same. But
I'm not familiar with the Dead Eye. Is it similar to Eli Drake's Gravy Train?
Probably. I can't picture that right off the top.
Because that's more of he's got the guy slung on his back, but they're taking it more on, is he's not dropping him straight on his head, but more on the upper back and shoulder area.
Kind of, but like, this is more on the head.
More on the head, okay. So something like the Gravy Train I am good with, because that is him dropping someone more of on their back, their upper back, than the head. And again, it all depends on who's performing the move. There are guys that you would, of course, totally trust. Like when we mentioned, I'm okay with the Tombstone pile driver. Kane and Undertaker are super safe workers,
and those are the two that were mainly the ones that were allowed to do that move.
Yeah, and everyone I've ever heard, Steve Austin being one, that he felt so safe in the ring with those guys, and that was perfectly fine to do that. And I would see that there are probably guys that other people would be like, no, I don't want to take that move from that guy. I would take a tombstone from Undertaker. I wouldn't take a tombstone from whoever over here,
right.
Because of how
no tombstones from the Blue Meanie.
Yes, from the Blue Meanie.
No tombstones from him.
Oh, okay. So back to you then. Is there any moves that you think should be banned?
Well, I'm along the same line of thinking as far as moves that have proven to be problematic. One move that I like, that for a while it was outlawed everywhere, aside from Japan, maybe, and Mexico, and that has now really become more of not a mainstay, but you see it more often, which is the reverse Hurricane Rana.
Oh yeah.
You do see that more often these days. It's like, especially AEW, but I have seen it in WWE recently as well. So, like, people who, if you can take that the right way, then cool. one move that's fairly recent that caused some controversy, but he still does it, is Seth Rollins Buckle Bomb.
Yes.
And I got to say, part of me has a face twitch every time I see him do it, because if he doesn't throw that person at the right angle, they're going to land right on the back of their neck. And now like he tries to get closer to the turnbuckle, and it's like more in the top of the back that they land. So obviously, like, he made adjustments after some of the issues with Sting, and I forget who else, but
that always surprised me that Rollins has injured several people, but he doesn't get the injury tag that a lot of other guys get.
Right.
I don't know if it's because he's so popular or people, oh well, he's fine. But anyone else, like people didn't like Nia Jax. Nia Jax would blink, and it was like, well, she injured that woman. She blinked wrong. Get rid of her. Gone. Yeah. But Seth Rollins is paralyzing Sting, which he didn't do. But ended his WWE run and is injuring people, and he always seems to get a pass. I'm not saying he's an unsafe worker,
right?
But it reminds me of when Jim Cornette does his Dusty Rhodes impression. Forget who he said it on, but Rhodes was booking somewhere, I think it was in Florida, and some guys did something in a ring and they totally messed it up. And I won't do a Rhodes impression, but he said, "Don't do shit you don't know how to do."
Right.
And I think that's the number one thing is, if you don't know how to do this move, if you're not practiced in it, if you're not skilled in it, and again, I'm not necessarily saying Rollins isn't, but, don't do it if you're not sure of yourself on it.
Yeah, I mean,
don't do it.
Some of these guys weigh a lot. So, if you can't throw them accurately, then it shouldn't be a part of your repertoire.
If you're not comfortable doing it, if you're not the guy comfortable taking it. I mean, Steve Austin talked about he was not comfortable taking that power driver from Owen Hart. He felt it in his bones going into that match. I shouldn't do this.
Which is why he said don't land on your ass.
Yeah, but it's Owen Hart. He's a Hart. Yeah, okay, he's got this. And if Austin had just said, no, let's not do that. I'm not comfortable doing the power driver. Let's do something else. I just don't want to do it. I just want to take it tonight. And I think Owen probably would have been like, oh, okay. Sure, we'll do something else.
Right.
I think, if he would have just said that, then I don't know. It could totally change because his entire, how he wrestled a match changed after that. He went from being a really good wrestler to being more of a brawler, and then that became more of the style, the Attitude Era. And it'd be interesting to see how things would have changed. In my long-term fantasy league that I talk about, I have Steve Austin. I have Stunning Steve Austin. That's how I'm using him and he's feuding with Eddie Guerrero. He's feuding with Eddie Guerrero right now. So
you get to choose which version?
Yes. Okay. So if you have in anybody, you can usually it's considered in their prime, but you can write a person a certain way. And actually what I do on my roster is I kind of put the year next to the name as how I'm thinking of them in my head.
Okay.
So, for Austin, I'm using like 90, 95 Austin, like before he jumped to WWE Austin is how I'm thinking of it in my head.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, though, about people getting in the injury tag and other people not. I feel like in the early to mid 90s, like, because when the Click was, all powerful, like if a guy did a move wrong to one of them, like they were like excommunicated. It felt like, one guy that was always labeled with the injury tag, and he might have injured more than one guy, I don't know, was Mabel / Big Daddy V Viscera.
That was the first person I said of when you said Click, because I know that I've seen Kevin Nash just rag on Mabel, not just for injuring him, but I know he injured Rikishi at one point because Nash's comment was, if you injure a Samoan, you're doing something wrong. Because they're like tanks.
That's funny. It's not funny, but it's it's true though. But yeah, some guys, like, I think a lot of it also involves politics backstage to a point. Like, some people, if they're unsafe, they're unsafe. That's all there is to it. But other guys, when they injure people, you'll hear, defenders be like, oh, well, accidents happen, or, oh, it's not ballet.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, the other part of this stupid question was, what moves would you like to see more of? What moves do you think are not around enough?
I've always said that Rusev should do a heart punch. Nobody does a heart punch anymore.
Not as his finisher, though. Maybe as a setup to a finish.
A setup, not a finisher, but like a setup, because it's a stunning move. You can stun a guy.
Like, Reigns has that Superman punch thing, and if he has that, then which is sometimes it's used as his finish, but
yes, yeah. So I miss the heart punch. I always like the heart punch.
Ivan Putski's Polish hammer. Yeah, thank you. There's one that I think could be used more often.
Yes,
double axe handles in general.
Yes, a really big guy I think could really get over the Polish hammer. Hogan's axe bomber, like the sort of the high angle lariat type of thing you get in Japan all the time. That could definitely get over, because so many dudes use a clothesline, but I think that again, the right guy could get that over. I miss old school submission holds, like an abdominal stretch.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there could be some submission holds brought back.
Yeah, I always marked out when Triple H would bust out the Indian Deathlock.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that always showed that he had his boots on that night, his working boots on. He's like, I really want this match to be cool. I'm gonna bust out the Indian Deathlock. Yeah. So I always enjoyed that. You know what you never see anymore? Backslide. No one ever wins a match with a backslide.
That's true. Yeah.
Terry Von Erich won the NWA World Heavyweight title with a backslide on Ric Flair. I want a guy who just wins. If Orange Cassidy can wrestle matches with his hands in his pocket, I want a guy whose only move is the backslide.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned the backslide. In terms of different pinning combinations like that, one guy that I see use it quite regularly in his matches is Bryan Danielson.
Yes, I do remember seeing him use a backslide. Yes.
Other guys, you don't see it nearly as much, but he has that kind of old school flavor to him as well.
Yeah. So I think most of the things that we're saying here are old school moves that you just don't see anymore. That I think, because they have fallen out of use, that if you brought them back and the right person brought them back, that I think you could get them over. Like how Cesaro did the big swing. And people mark out for that, and no one did a big swing for decades,
long time, right,
leading up to him doing it. The airplane spin, that's another one that you never see.
That's true.
Anybody, because what you could do, because the way you got a guy up, you could do an airplane spin into like an attitude adjustment or an F5, or you could use that as a setup for another move where you have a guy up on your shoulders like that.
Brock Lesnar could do like an F10.
Yes. Like if he did an airplane spin into the F5, that would be over. I think people would lose their minds.
Probably kill the guy.
Yes. I think people would lose their minds over that, though. But yeah, I think, because here's the thing, like, so many people today are trying to go forward. Like, how can I do something even more dangerous or more crazy or more, contrived or more, it requires more setup? Where if you go back and you grab something that hasn't been used in decades and you modernize it, I think that's a smart plan.
Yeah, and like, for a while you would see some of the high flyers they would do, it would be a 360, would be the big one. And then it became, who can do a 450, know? And now you have AAA champion El Hijo del Vikingo. He does a spot where he does the next one up from that, which is what, a 620, 630, whatever it is.
Something like that. Doesn't Pac do something similar?
Yeah,
it's just like a million revolutions.
It's crazy. Like, the people who watch AEW, because he's been on there a few times, will know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just crazy. But
here's a move I've never seen, and I want it: a shooting star back rake.
Shooting star back rake.
Yeah. So you do the revolutions, but you just come down with like behind the guy with the back rake
I would love to see that. And as we were talking, thinking about like some of the old school guys like Luthez or whatever, like just can you imagine seeing back in like the 50s Luthez, breaking out a lion salt just out of nowhere? Come on.
Picture here's the thing too. Talk about the long-term fantasy league thing that I do. I have older guys, and if I think, like for example, I have Randy Savage. Could Randy Savage do a moonsault? Yeah, back in the 80s, totally. Could Randy Savage do a lion salt? Totally. Right. If it's a move that I think a guy could do, even if he's an older guy,
right,
I will sometimes incorporate that into the match when I'm writing out matches.
Right.
So and I think that would be amazing if you could teleport. A guy like Luthez. Is Luthez doing lion salts? No, but I could definitely see Luthez working maybe more of an MMA style.
Right.
Something like that.
Mania belts out an F5.
Yeah. Why not? I think a lot of those classic dudes, I think, could adapt to today's wrestling. Not all the high flying stuff, but
right.
Some of the newer moves, I think they could.
Yeah, you wouldn't see them doing corkscrew moonsaults.
No. Nick Bockwinkel's not doing a corkscrew moonsault.
Yeah, no. But you could probably see some of those guys doing like a stunner or something like that.
Yeah, something new, or a power bomb, or right. In any types of the the F5 that we talked about, things like that. You could definitely see, right. and probably those older guys going, "Oh, that's a cool idea." It wasn't quite what they did, but
right.
Yeah, yeah. But to wrap it up, that's an interesting question, and I think our answer has been go back, look at some old moves, and bring them forward.
Yeah, I mean, use the libraries of footage that are out there, and Triple H was always a school of that kind of stuff. Like he would go back.
Yeah, I know he watches a lot of tape. If I was a wrestler in the WWE, I don't know where they keep the tape library, but I would go there all the time and just say, give me this, give me that, and go watch it for ideas. I would totally do that.
Jimmy the Swordfish.
Jimmy, as I'm wrestling as Jimmy the Swordfish in WWE.
That's a throwback to early episodes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. What moves you think should be gone? What moves you think should be around more often? I'm sure everybody has an opinion on that. So check out our other episodes, our full-length episodes, Segment Surgery and Random Match Reviews, What's That Card? We're available wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Please hit the like button on our YouTube videos. Subscribe to our content. And for Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.